Hi guys, it's Wade here. I just wanted to do a quick review of the last 12 months. It's been a massive 12 months in my life and I really wanted to make sure that I documented it, but I know in the past these videos have done quite well on my channel, so I wanted to share them with you today. So looking back 12 months ago, early 2017, I sold the van, which was a camper van I spent a lot of time constructing, tweaking and also travelling in. Sadly, the bit that I had no control over, which was the engine, is the one that actually let us down. 6 out of 7 trips it involved a tow truck, so okay, call that a fail. This time last year I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, and really what that did is that put words around the feelings I was having, the lack of motivation to do anything that I normally enjoy, and as well as the sinking dread feeling that I'm not good enough, to be quite frank. So over that period that I was diagnosed, I also gained 12 kilos in weight. So it creates this really bad spiral where I don't feel good in myself, and therefore I don't want to go outside and be seen, and I want to go out and do things, and it just creates this sucky spiral. Now, some other things that happened early 2017 was I got my radio license. It's something I've always wanted to do, but never found the motivation to do. So I obtained my Australian Foundation license, VK1 FWBD is my call sign. And through that I also discovered a section of amateur radio called SOTA, or Summits on the Air, and that's essentially hiking out to designated summits in Australia or hilltops and making contact with other radio operators, and that gave me motivation to be outside, gave me motivation to hike, relearn my navigation skills, as well as to hone my radio skills as well. Of course, 12 kilometres from home, or 12 kilometres from the car, if it breaks, you need to know how to fix it. Now, also about that time, I started throwing myself into making things again. I used to be quite technical and interested in electronics. So over that period, I have made 3 things, and I'll show them to you. So this is an antenna tuner, or a half-wave end-fed antenna tuner. So I've been told by someone I asked to test it that it works quite well. One of the other things I've made is actually a dummy load. It's essentially a big sponge that you connect to your radio, and it absorbs the radio output when you're testing and things like that, so you're not damaging your radio. So that was my first simple one. And last week I finished one of the projects I've been working on, and that's this one here. It's actually a tape measure antenna that it gives directionality, so I can aim it at things. So yeah, and it works, so I'm pretty happy with that. Now that's just the first start of 2017. I'd already planned to take 6 months leave at half pay from work through long service, because I'd been with the organisation 10 years, and I had planned to go overseas and do my dive master qualification. I was already a rescue diver, and I selected Gili Air, which is a small Indonesian island off Lombok. I arrived in May, and I commenced my 6-week dive master program, and from a personally challenging point of view, it's the most hardest thing I have ever done. I wasn't particularly fit, so I found the swimming exercises quite difficult. I'll be honest, I just passed them. I didn't smash the scores or anything like that, I just passed them. But over the 6 weeks I discovered I had a real fear, and that one was taking my mask off or placing water around my face. I can trace that back to a pool incident when I was very, very young. However, I overcame that fear. Every time I said I couldn't, I overcame it over that 6-month period. I've actually gone on to earn 5 more qualifications through diving. So I was a dive master at the completion of my program. I'm now an assistant instructor, so that's 1 level up from there. I'm a nitrox qualified diver, so I can use a mixed gas blend, which allows me to stay at certain depths longer without requiring decompression stops as I make my way up. I am a self-reliant diver, which means I can dive on my own, and it also makes me a better buddy. I'm a deep diver, so I'm qualified to 40 metres. That was a real challenge, and it's something I completed. I've done over 170 dives on the Gillies. I had 50 when I came, so I'm over the 200 mark now. I'm a professional, which is interesting when I explain that to people. I'm a professional scuba diver. I lost 12 kilos while I was there, which was fantastic. And on the way back, I've actually visited 4 countries. I also went on a 3-week trip with my parents and my partner. My parents got to meet my partner's family in Myanmar, and I took my parents all over the country, and they got to travel as well. They hadn't done much travelling prior to their late 40s, early 50s, when they came to visit me in East Timor. So also I've made over 600 contacts on the radio this year, mostly from mountaintops. I've made contact with countries like Japan, New Zealand, Papua New Guinea, and I've worked every state and territory in Australia at least once, apart from the Australian Antarctic region. So I think that's a pretty decent achievement. Now, for 2018, my goal is I'm refocusing my life. I'm refocusing it to be about me. In the past, if there was a pendulum between work-focused and personal-focused, I'd definitely say I was more angled toward work-focused. Not work success, but not I want promotions and things like that, but work-focused insofar as that's where I thought I got my pleasure or thought I got my drive from. So I'm refocusing to be about me. That includes being outside more, whether that's riding my bike more, whether that's hiking more, camping more. I also really want to spend more time with Frankie. I want to travel more. My partner Frankie, we travel a lot together, and I really want to keep doing that. I really enjoy it. And I want to upgrade my radio license to be what's called a standard. So I want to go up another level, and it shouldn't be too hard. It's just some videos I need to study, but it's the technical side of things that I need to level up my skills on. Anyway, that's enough from me, but I really wanted to say to people out there who are suffering from anxiety and depression, it feels like nothing is going to change. It feels like you're being chased by the boogeyman. You can get better. You can come out of that death spiral that your brain gets in sometimes. The one that brings you on an ever decreasing spiral. What is working for me, and I'm not saying it's going to work for anyone else, but it worked for me, having a focus. So for me, hiking to the top of the summit and planning all of that, gear, navigation, fuel, all of that kind of stuff, gave me a focus. My dive master is incredibly procedure focused. There's a little saying you say before you get in the water every day, breakfast with rice and fish, or BCD, weights, regulators, air, things like that. And that really helps me process where I'm at and what I need to do. Try and get outside. For me, being outside and that just refocused things for me. And I hope you've enjoyed videos on the YouTube channel, which includes diving and radio stuff. I hope you bring in more of both. Also, in 2017, I sailed on board a liveaboard from Gili Air to Komodo. I actually worked on that boat, and there's a longer video of that trip, including Amy, who was the customer I was looking after on that trip. So that's on the YouTube channel as well. If you've liked anything, have any questions or comments, please pop them down below. Don't forget to like this page, give it a little thumbs up, as well as I'd really be interested to hear your comments, so pop them down below as well. Anyway, I really want to thank you for listening. Cheers.